Hey all, welcome in. I'm Rad and this is my hardcore world. Today I'm going to keep the 1.21 update adventures going with 3 brand new 1.21 farms, a 1.26 farm, and an update on some viewer rewards. But first I need to stop doing this ridiculously long flight. Back in April I made this super fast ice farm, so when I thought about making a blue ice path I came here first. It's an amazing farm, it gets me 72,000 ice per hour, but do you know how much blue ice that is? Not even 1,000. Not even 900. Because blue ice is super expensive. So the other way to get blue ice is to go mine icebergs. The bottom of them often has blue ice, and there are some icebergs that are entirely made of blue ice. After testing both methods, getting blue ice naturally, at least once, was easier from the ocean, so that's what I did. I kept going until I had 2 full shulkers. That would have taken over 4 hours at the ice farm. Okay, I've got coordinates and we're gonna head off this way. I considered a diagonal path, but aligning the boat is weird, and if I nudge them, it breaks. So I decided on a single left-hand turn to get to our faraway portal. The next step was to first lay out the ice path itself. Boats travel a lot faster on blue ice than regular or packed ice, and this trip's pretty far. And if you don't know, we have to come out here pretty regularly because it's my closest double witch hut, and I'm gonna be making a witch farm out here to get redstone in the 1.21 update. Now the raid farms don't work the way they did in 1.20. And once the blue ice was in, I'm going to put walls along both sides of the path. I went with cobblestone because when your cobblestone farm makes 1,000,000 cobblestone per hour, you actively look for things to use cobblestone on. I probably should have also put buttons down and spawn-proofed the path first. If I yell, "Die, hoglins, die!" will I get demonetized? Too late now, guess we'll find out. Building an ice path isn't all that difficult, but placing over 2,500 blue ice, 5,000 walls, and 2,500 buttons definitely took up a bit of time. By the time I was nearly finished the second wall, I was losing my sanity and looking for ways to amuse myself as I walked over 10,000 blocks while building this. And then blackstone looked way better against the blue ice than cobblestone, and while I'm not trying to make the path all that pretty, it definitely worked here. With the path done, it's time to take it for a test ride. I'm going to leave a chest of boats on both ends in case I forget one or forget to put it back when I'm done using it. The flight here currently takes 70 seconds each way, and that's if I aggressively use 16 rockets. It takes over 90 seconds if I don't. The boat path isn't a straight line to this portal, and it still takes far less time at 45 seconds each way, and 0 rockets used. I call this the Wii strats. Whee! With that quick project out of the way, it's time to get into something I wanted to do that we won't quite finish today. I want to create a map of my current world, including the main spawn city as well as the Mushroom Island. I made my first map right where I normally stand in storage. It's as good of a place as any, I guess. I'm not going to scale them, I want them all to be this default size. And then for today I'm just going to do a bit of quick mapping, but soon I want to make an entire mapmaker's guild house to house the map and some cartographers. So I flew around making more maps of the area, hit this ridiculous shot, and then kept making more maps. Right now I don't have anywhere to show these, so I'm just going to lay them out flat below my storage. There's a lot of open space here and we can at least see how it's going. I ended up needing quite a few more item frames, but then just got to work on assembling the puzzle. Unfortunately, I'll decide to make one of our new farms down here later, and this will have to move over just a little bit, but it'll do for now. It took a little while, but after figuring out the pieces, this is how the spawn city currently looks. I love seeing the pagoda, the compass rose, the sun temple, the dock, and the ship area. There are a few corners to remap at some point, but they're close. Let's do the Mushroom Island next. Assembling that was a lot easier. It's a smaller map, so let's check it out now. That was a fun little project and a good start at mapping our world. So let's talk about the little blue elephant in the room. I was out scouting an area for our first farm of the day when I found these guys. I know I need them for another farm later, so I brought them home, got the advancement, and then realized I wasn't even recording yet. So we'll pick it up from here. I also need more of them, so a quick LA duping session with a music disc and some amethyst shards seems appropriate here. I chose to put on one of the new trial chamber discs, and we had a good time running around storage, breaking things, and generally being menaces until eventually all 6 were back in their boats. The first farm I want to make today is a slime farm by Big Booty 17. Is he 17? Was he born in 2017? No, that's not possible. Are there 17 big booties? I don't know. I have so many questions. The slime farm uses the new oozing potion and it's ridiculously overpowered. How overpowered is it? Well, Booty doesn't measure the farm in hourly rates because you run it for a few minutes at a time, but if it were hourly, the rate is over 120,000 slime balls per hour. I can personally make it run at over 90,000 slime balls per hour, and I'm not good at it yet. To put that in a little bit of perspective, the swamp slime farm that I currently use, that I talk so highly of, is 15 to 22,000 slime balls per hour depending on the moon phase. It can only be built in a swamp and requires a ton of slabs and thousands of brown mushrooms, not the easiest thing to get in huge quantities. The farm I'm making today can be put in any non-hot biome, so no deserts, no mesa, no savanna, all that. but it can be made with under a shulker of materials, with the most expensive bits being maybe the oozing potion itself, which requires netherwort, blaze powder, and a slime block to brew. I'm going to make myself this very overpowered slime farm directly below my storage, right next to where we put those maps. I like the idea of having this right at home, and since it doesn't normally have even a single mob inside, there's no added lag from building it here. After building the farm, I had to brew the potions, and because I already have slime blocks, I'm going to be able to brew up a shulker of potions to get started, but if you didn't have slime, 1 block would get you 3 potions. That's enough to make you 12 shulkers or 6 double chests of slime balls. Yeah, 1 slime block now equals 12 shulkers of slime balls. That's more than a shulker of slime blocks in return. And with the farm built, I also took the time to build the shulker loader add-on as well as the snow compacting machine. This farm, like ENX04's with a rose farm that I have in this world, uses sheared snow golems as bait, but instead of having a wither kill the snow golems, we splash them with the slime potion and then let them die. And each one that dies with the oozing effect then has a chance to spawn slimes, which fall down into our killing chamber where our looting sword takes care of the rest. The snowball compactor uses the autocrafter to take snowballs from the unalived golems and remake them into snow blocks so you can run the farm again and again. And by putting another snow golem in a chest boat, we can quickly unload snowballs there without getting into the boat ourselves. To get the initial snow blocks for this, I visited our long-lost friend who still lives in my starter pagoda. I'm sure he was glad to see me after all these days, but having it up here isn't practical, so I moved another snow golem down here next to the snowball compactor. Now I can farm extra snowballs whenever I need, and with a mending shovel I'll be able to repair it as we use it. Using this farm doesn't require mods, but you'll need to rebind a key to make it at full speed. I'm going to rebind my jump key to my right click and my right click or use item to the jump key. As some of you know, when you use a keystroke for right click input, it makes it much faster. So now when I hold down the spacebar, this happens. Let's load up this farm quickly. Once the snow golems are in place, I can swap my keys back, press this button, flip this switch, and watch the magic happen. And yes, I know my gates are in the wrong spot. I'll fix it soon. That is a ridiculous amount of slimes, and it's nowhere near done. I don't even know what to say about this. This is incredibly OP. Let's start up the compactor and take a look at the farm. The medium-sized slimes behind me are being broken down into these small cubes, which I can then swipe at with looting 3, and it's very satisfying to use, actually. The farm gives me a really decent amount of XP, so while I can fully repair my tools, sword, even the shovel that I'm using to get the snowballs, all while collecting an incredible amount of slime. Let's start loading up the shulkers. They're still coming through, and I already have a ridiculous amount of slime in my inventory. That's 1 shulker done. There's some more down here. If I drop down to get the ones that are on the ground, I'm also going to pick up those snowballs and can keep the compacting process going. And I have all the sounds turned way down, but between the observer clock, the autocrafter, the slime noises, and the XP dings, this is a fairly loud farm to use, just so you know. Alright, let's finish up this first run. That's another shulker. There's more here, there's some on the ground, I'll go get those, there's more on the ground, there's more to swing at. This is a very OP farm. After my first use of the farm, I found all these snowballs left on the ledge because I had put the gates on the wrong spot. That gave me a lot more return than I thought and more to compact, so I had to go back to the snow blocks. And you know the rule around here, if some of it is good, more is better, so I loaded the farm again, changed my controls again, pushed the button, flipped the switch, and watched the magic happen again. Still hadn't fixed the gates though, didn't realize it yet. This time I swiped quicker, moved items earlier, and compacted easier. Running the farm takes a bit of practice, but once you get the rhythm down, the whole thing can definitely be done in under 5 minutes. Filling shulker after shulker of slime in such a short time was really overpowered and satisfying. It's very likely this potion will get a nerf, so if you want it, maybe a case of get it while it's hot. As always, the farm will be linked in the description. Remember, it's by Big Booty 17. So many questions. After the second run, I fixed the gate so the snowball return would work properly. And what's that rule again? Alright, more is better. Load, button, lever, stonks. Stabby, 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 stabby. I'm fine. From running the farm just a few times, I got over a full shulker and some of slime blocks, 12 total shulkers of slime balls, and this can be built nearly anywhere. It's a very crazy farm, very cool. We can put a full one in the storage and let the auto sorter handle the rest, then we can move on to farm number 2. Let's head out to our outpost portal. My next farm is going to be an ominous bottle farm by Fortunate Diamond. I'm not using this as the main outpost, the terrain is way too rough and I want something I can perfectly flatten, and even though I don't need to do as much as I will do here, I really want to have it on the perfect land. Unfortunately, this was the best outpost I could find, so I did the scouting earlier and yeah, this was as good as it gets. So now I want to terraform and flatten this entire area. That should be it, let's get started. First thing I have to do is light up each floor and then break out some of the blocks. Fortunate's full tutorial is in the description, so make sure you check it out if you want to be able to build this. The ominous bottles we'll get from this will be useful in any future raid farms or ominous trials for ominous keys and the harder trial chamber fights. The farm is very simple, so while I build it, let me explain. Pillagers are going to spawn on the flat area that I've created. They'll see the iron golems, and because of their huge aggro distance, will run toward them to try and shoot the iron golems. Once they get close enough, a water stream will pull them into a lava blade, which kills them. Any of the pillagers that are also captains will have the flag and will get killed and drop an ominous potion. Some will also drop the banner. By sitting AFK, we can then get more than 350 ominous bottles in 1 hour. For a trial chamber, bringing just 10 potions with you is far more than you'll ever need. You can get those in under 2 minutes. With the farm done, let's watch it in action. The pillager captain in front of us is a bit of a tour guide. He doesn't want to move yet, so watch the one on his right that runs toward the golem, ends up in the waters and then the lava before dying and dropping us an ominous bottle. They're too far away to shoot the golems and close enough to charge in. I love looking at it from above like this. The pillagers look like busy little ants. It's kind of unfortunate that normal pillagers don't drop anything at all because we kill a lot more of them than we do the captains. Let's go and check on our loot. I did discover one thing here. When I'm inside, the golems can be shot if the pillagers aim at me and miss. So if you do make this farm, land up on the top or the middle floor, wait for the pillagers to go into the lava, then go and get your loot. We have a lot of bottles already. I'm back up at the AFK spot so we can take a look. The level of bottle they drop seems to be random, as I've mentioned before, but in just a few minutes we ended up with at least 8 of every level, 44 total in under 8 minutes. Let's AFK for longer and see how we go. We should be good to go check again. Each of the 4 double chests ended up with between 13 and 18 bottles, for a total of 63 new bottles and over 100 in total. Yeah, that'll do for now. The next task on my list is to catch up on some armor stands I owe people in this world. Over on my Patreon, every tier gets an armor stand, from iron armor at tier 1 to netherite stands at tier 5. Today we have to build a place to hold these stands, as well as get the armor sets and a whole lot of ender chests for a special decoration idea. What I want to do is design a dedicated space for these long term, but that may be in our second build area once the Asian Fantasy City's done. The first 100 people are going to go into a hallway that I'm going to build today inside our Sun Temple. The Sun Temple is one of my favorite builds in the world, and it hasn't had any sort of interior yet. So for now I want to build a dark, pitch black hallway to house these armor stands. It's not going to be the most detailed and intricate design, but I want nothing to distract from the armor stands themselves. The people who've supported me on Patreon so far are very important to the world continuing, and this full-time journey being even possible, so I want to show them as much appreciation as we can today. Each armor stand space will come with a pedestal, the armor stand, their highest tier armor depending on what Patreon level they are, a nameplate with a glowing orange sign, orange candles, and an empty item frame. The item frame is another redeem that I'll open up later on and let people put an item in them. And I'm setting up just over 100 stands today, even though we'll only have the first hall full, or about 25 of them. This hall is only open to 100 people, so if you have any intention of getting into this world with one of these, once it's full forever. One thing I want to add is a special feeling to the interior, so I'm going to make ender chests and use them as floor below the carpet. The particle effect and lighting from the chests will still show through, and give the plain black rooms a bit more of a magical feel. To do this, I need to craft about 300 ender chests. Thankfully, because of the farms that I build in this world, that wasn't much of a problem. So if anyone ever questions why I build all these farms or whether it's worth it, just remember, it is. One farm that I still do need to make is a glow squid farm, but fortunately it's very easy to get them if you have a good spot. Near my old raid farm I have a great glow squid spot. There's this small cave where they spawn in, and it's basically the best spawn in the area. So all I have to do is just fly straight up to despawn everything, drop straight down into the water to get the glow squid, straight back up and respawn more, and straight back down again. I'm only going to light up the candles for the redeemed stand so far. We can start putting names into the hall now. The first one's for Meebin MC. You may recognize his name from episode 9 when I built the storage. And in case anyone who has previously been a Patreon is wondering, whether you've been active or not, you're still going to get one of these. I know a few have already had to cancel their memberships, but they still get their stand, of course. I just didn't have a place to put them at the time. I obviously won't create all of the stands in the halls on the videos, but for the first hall it felt like the right thing to do. I'll likely add most of the rest on my Twitch live stream, so be there if you want to see yours get added. And I want to thank all my Patreons for joining me. I know there's a lot of different reasons. Some of you want the Hardcore World downloads, some of you just want build schematics or to support my channel. There are a lot of other reasons, but for whatever reason you choose to support me, thanks. Let's get the armor stands done. There are 2 diamond, many gold, and iron armor sets to represent all my Patreons, so it's time to go do some perimeter progress and a few, issues. Problems, even. Some may say disaster. This week's perimeter update is sad. Unfortunate even. It started off well. I intended to complete all 4 trenches for this update, so I could start the World Eater next time. This is my first ever TNT perimeter, so I'm learning as I go in some ways, and let's just say the lessons were significant. Building the trencher wasn't actually that difficult as I'm following a schematic and just placing blocks. I'm avoiding any observer issues and making sure I don't update them early and just getting through it. Once the trencher and the return station was built, I finally got to send it off. And it's super satisfying to watch the trencher running. Even though the first couple of passes won't hit much, just the sheer power of that much TNT is really amazing to see in game. You can see it's topping a few of the trees and just getting started on those first passes. Watching it come back, I know it's all working well, and now I just have to keep water, lava, and obsidian out of the trench. And I'm going to pull as many ores out of the perimeter as I can, so I'll stay busy while it runs, but on the first passes I took the chance to grab a bunch of lily pads, chop down some trees. Oh, and here's the scariest thing I've done in a hardcore world. You can fly through falling TNT, like this. Yep, safely. Eventually the trencher started taking away the dirt and stone to reveal these precious ores and some new water to drain. On the higher levels, I'm going to get tons of copper, coal, and iron, and later on it will be lapis, then eventually gold, redstone, and diamonds. And I'll be using my sponges to drain the water, and also some of the sand to fill in lava and keep that out of the way. The first problem that I found was that the trencher needs to be 1 block over from where I originally planned. That means my sand wall started breaking and water was rushing into the trench. I was forced to stop the trencher and rebuild the destroyed wall, as well as add another layer of sand to the outer side to keep it from continuously breaking. And with the trencher off, I took the time to catch up on ore collection. I'm a bit of a loot goblin, and in this case that means I've collected every collectible ore from this perimeter so far. And after filling in this small lava lake, I found a very large and problematic water cave to deal with. I sectioned it off, drained what I needed to, but that took a lot longer than planned. And then disaster struck. When I restarted the machine, I got too far away from it and this happened. It missed the return station, flew way past, and then blew itself up. While picking up the spare parts from about 100 blocks away, I was pretty disappointed. Building a trencher doesn't take too long, but this was destroying land outside the perimeter. I needed to get more resources, and now I'm way behind on progress. This one's still broken, you can see the land it destroyed. What a disaster. That beach that's closest to us is where it was destroying, and the one past it is where I was still picking up parts. And now with both sides of the machine out of sync, I also had to tear down the entire trencher. To say I was disappointed in myself in this project so far was a huge understatement. Things go wrong, but I felt like they already had. I moved the schematic down to the new height and rebuilt the entire machine. Once it was rebuilt, I took a deep breath and sent it off again, ready to get back to my ore mining. I drained a small water cave and came out to check the progress of the new trencher. And it happened again. My natural reaction was to stop the recording, pause the game, and quit. I love this world. It's great, I really do. But I was ready to end the series here. Just stand under the duper, let it run, let it end the game. I just went to bed. The next morning I woke up feeling pretty defeated. I rebuilt the trencher and set it off one more time. I watched it closely as it got to the end, very anxious about this part. And this time it worked. I was ecstatic. It's time to grind and make up for all the lost time. I was super careful this time not to unload it. I was careful to watch it do the return trips more than a few times. I sponged, I mined, I flew down into this huge cave and found a trial chamber? That's sitting just outside the perimeter, so we'll explore that one later. Ore collection is going well. Copper, coal, iron, even a few diamonds from that cave got us started, but I'll have so many more by the time this perimeter is completed. And sponge ASMR is even fun once in a while. Trenching down to the deep slate levels was a fairly smooth process. Once you get the hang of running this, it's not that bad, right? I love flying through the TNT and finding uncovered diamonds, gold, and redstone. I forgot that diamonds had got a buff in a previous update, as most of my chunks are still 1.20 old chunks, so I was happy with the amount of diamonds I was pulling from the trench and eventually passed a full stack of diamond ore, even though I was still high up in the deep slate. And the lower the trench ran, the more and more diamonds there were per trip. Eventually, and thankfully, trench number 1 was finished. 2 days or so after it should have been, and with many frustrations, I was finally able to get through 1/4 of this part of the perimeter. This one trench gave me over 6 stacks of diamond ore in total, tons of gold, redstone, and lapis, and it was finally time to pull down the trencher after a job finally well done. I flew home to the gold farm to repair everything as I'd been out at the perimeter for a very long time. My goal for this week was to complete all 4 trenches. Even though the first had become a nightmare, I was resilient and went back to work. I went to do this back trench first and keep it simple. This is probably the easiest of the trenches, and needing a win, I started there. You can see the trench marks where it's already begun working. I even found a new friend. This is one of the new 1.20.6 wolves, and I haven't tamed any, so this is my first new friend. I brought him back to sit at my main workplace here at the perimeter. We need a name, so please hit me with your best pup names and I'll rename him or her soon. This is a big water cave. We're not getting through this today. I'll come back and do trenches soon. Okay, let's get back to making some farms. I can at least control these. Our next farm is actually related to the perimeter project. One thing I really dislike is having to travel back and forth to the gold farm for XP when I need to repair. I'm using a lot of elytra durability, a lot of shovel and pickaxe durability, and even the hoe for sponges, so I need a source of XP at the perimeter. I like my bottles of enchanting for XP, but with the void trader broken in 1.21, I know I have to trade very manually for those now, and I do every time I'm near home, but I want to build a silverfish XP farm. I know quite a few of you saw my silverfish mining experiment over on the Extras channel. That video is over 60,000 views now, which is insane, but anyways. I saw this great XP farm tutorial by Regand, and I've used some of his farms in the past, so I trust him. I started as with the slime farm by brewing a shulker of the infestation potions. Those are the new 121 potions that make this farm work. Like the slime farm, what I love most about this is the portability. I can basically decide where to put an XP farm in the world now, so I'll just put it behind my ore storage for the perimeter. We're going to put a campfire here, dispenser here. If you haven't watched my silverfish mining video or Neeson's, the basic idea here is that when a mob takes damage while infested, it has a chance to spawn silverfish. And we have a mob in Minecraft that can take damage and regenerate so fast that it doesn't die, the LA. So the plan here is to put LAs in a very small space above the campfire, give silverfish a way to pop out the sides of that hole, direct them to one corner of a box with water, and then kill them with sweeping edge from an armor stand just outside that box. The XP can go through the corner of the glass, and this farm gives enough XP in just one splash infestation potion to repair all of my gear and then some every time I'm here. I also put a brewing stand out here so I can brew more infestation potions as I need them. I brought a few LAs with me, then duped a few times while building the farm to give me enough for the farm to run. When I finished building the temporary loading structure above, getting the LAs into the hole is actually quite simple. They try and pick up stuff that you leave behind. An observer clock and a note block will hold their attention while I cover them in, and then I piston pushed a block into the lower area and got them right up against the campfires. Yeah, I'm aware this is not the most humane or ethical way to treat our little blue friends. It is, however, an incredibly cool farm. I'm also aware that I'm the supervillain in the world so far. We're just gonna have to accept that. So the campfire is ticking damage on the LAs. I push this button and the silverfish will start popping out. I forgot a roof. Hold on. Pause. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of XP. I'm gonna repair all my stuff really quick. It's already done. They're still pouring out. I could use a Bane of Arthropods sword here to one-shot them, but this is fine. I'm probably not going to carry a special sword for this farm. And that's it. It's a very mobile, very easy XP farm that can be done in just a few materials and a few minutes with a couple of LAs and a potion. Now I'm leaving the perimeter and I'm not going back today. Our last farm of the day isn't a 1.21 farm technically. Armadillos were released in 1.20.6, and even though it's not 1.21, very few people have a farm for armadillo scutes, and to be honest, I never played the 1.20.6 content, so that's still brand new for me and for this world. I also made the insane choice to fly home with the armadillos, even though I found them thousands of blocks from home. I don't know why I thought this was going to be fun, but I had to build up, coast, and eventually we were back home. I tried to get the armadillos in through the storage wing that hangs out past my mountain. Somehow I lost one before this point. It's okay, I only needed 2 for the farm, so I pulled them up over the edge of the farm and then hopped off so they could join me on the roof. Why do I do things the hard way? I always make this so much more difficult than it needs to be. Bring them on the nether roof, Rad. Oh no, I gotta fly them home the long way. I gotta make it 10 times longer than it needs to take. I gotta be special and silly. Just put these 3 through the portal. Okay, that's 1. That's number 2. And surprise, the 3rd one died probably on my wither rose down there. At this point, I just want a working scute farm, so no more jokes, no more anything. I just broke the floor, dragged them down a temporary staircase, lured them up to a fenced-in hopper, and pushed them in like it was their fault. And after a quick breeding, I boxed in the bottom to make sure the baby couldn't sneak out, and I now have a small working armadillo scute farm. Including the 2 I collected while moving armadillos, we now have enough for a dog armor. Let's make one of those. As much as I personally love orange, it doesn't look great with the pinkish tones that are in the armadillo scute, so I'm just going to add a white one here. Let's go see Loki. Hi Loki, we missed you, I brought you a present, here you go. Since Loki is one of the traditionally colored white wolves, I think this looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's get the advancement for shearing that off of him, but don't worry, we'll give it right back. For the rest of my time today, I played with Loki. We love playing chase in this main room, and sometimes when I'm not sure what to do next, this is what I do. So I chased him, then he chased me. It's all good fun until he teleports and cheats. Okay, I'm obviously done for today. This was quite an adventure with huge ups and huge downs. Next time we'll work on the largest military build for our city and finish the other 3 trenches. I'll see you then. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Loki.